The truth arrived like a thunderclap, tearing through the fragile fabric of my life and leaving nothing untouched. My name is Daniel, and at 37, I found myself staring into the abyss of a revelation that would dismantle everything I thought I knew. It all began with a message, innocuous at first glance, yet ominous in tone, from Sarah, my wife Emily's closest friend and confidant. We worked at the same company, though in separate departments, and rarely crossed paths. Her message was urgent, requesting a private meeting after hours. I assumed she needed support or guidance with something personal, perhaps advice about her marriage. I had no reason to suspect the storm that awaited me over a cup of coffee. Sarah was already at the diner when I arrived, seated in a dim corner booth. Her face was pale, the skin around her eyes swollen from crying. As I slid into the seat across from her, I could feel the tension radiating from her like heat. She tried to compose herself, wiping away fresh tears that wouldn't stop coming. Then she spoke, softly, her voice quaking under the weight of what she had to say. "I'm so sorry, Daniel," she said, barely above a whisper. "Emily's been having an affair with my husband, with James." The words hit me like a blow to the chest. I sat there, stunned, as Sarah laid bare the ugly truth. The affair hadn't been a fleeting mistake. It had endured for nearly 5 years, starting of all times, just after Emily told me she was pregnant with our daughter Lily. Lily, who was now 4, with her angelic curls and big, curious eyes that I had always thought were a reflection of mine. Sarah's voice trembled as she explained how James had finally come clean after she confronted him. It was all there. The secret rendezvous, the late-night work excuses, the burner phone messages, and the stolen weekends. An intricate web of betrayal spun behind my back, threaded through years I had believed were the happiest of our marriage. Then came the cruelest blow of all. James claimed that Lily wasn't my daughter. He said she was his. The world around me seemed to dissolve into static. I could barely breathe, let alone think, as I stumbled out of the diner and drove home in a fog. Neon lights blurred past my windshield, meaningless shapes in a world suddenly stripped of all certainty. When I stepped through the front door, Emily was in the kitchen, stirring a pot on the stove. It was a perfectly ordinary evening for her. I couldn't keep it in. "Is it true?" I asked, my voice a low growl, tight and controlled though I was anything but calm. She turned to me, her brows furrowed in confusion. Then came the denial, righteous indignation, confusion morphing into offense. But when I told her about Sarah's evidence, the messages, the confession from James, something in her eyes shifted. The fight went out of her. She sank to the floor, her legs no longer able to hold the weight of her secrets, and began to cry. Yes, the affair was real, but she clung to one desperate assertion, that Lily was mine. I demanded a paternity test. Emily panicked. She begged me to reconsider, insisting it would only confuse Lily, that biology meant nothing next to the years of love I'd given her. I was her father in every way that mattered, she said, but I couldn't let her manipulate me again. Not with something this important. I needed the truth. I needed it for Lily, and for whatever fragments of myself I had left. The day the envelope arrived, I couldn't wait. I tore it open in the silence of my car, hands shaking. One glance at the results and I knew. Lily wasn't mine. Grief like I'd never known surged through me, breaking over me in waves. I had held her through sleepless nights, calmed her fevers, kissed away her fears. I had taught her how to tie her shoes, laughed at her toddler jokes, told her she was my little miracle. But none of that tethered her to me by blood. When I confronted Emily again, she tried to spin it. She said the affair had meant nothing, that her love for me had never wavered, that Lily adored me and would be devastated if I walked away. But her words rang hollow, drowned out by the crushing weight of betrayal. I was done, with her lies, with her manipulations, with pretending. I told her I was filing for divorce. Emily's parents came the next day, drawn by the storm they hadn't seen coming. Her mother cried, a quiet sorrow hanging between us. Her father was more direct, disappointed, ashamed, apologetic. They swore they had never raised her to betray someone who had done so much for her. When I asked Emily to leave, they helped her pack. I stood at the doorway as she gathered Lily's things, watching the little girl I'd raised clutch her stuffed elephant and wave at me with that same trusting smile, that once lit up my entire world. She didn't understand. To her, this was just another adventure. But for me, something broke in that moment. A rift that nothing could mend. The house was silent after they left. The kind of silence that presses against your skin. I reached out to my oldest friend, Michael, needing someone to keep me from drifting away entirely. Sarah and I kept in touch. In the days that followed, she kept me informed about James, about Lily, about Emily's attempts to make things right. James, it turned out, wanted nothing to do with Lily. He called her a mistake. He refused to see her, refused to take responsibility. Emily took him to court. A judge intervened. But that's a story for another time. The second paternity test became inevitable, despite James's resistance. Legal pressure eventually forced his hand, and when the results arrived, they left no room for doubt. He was Lily's biological father. The court acted swiftly, removing my name from her birth certificate and replacing it with his. But James, true to the man he'd shown himself to be, wanted nothing to do with her. He called her a mistake, an echo of an affair he'd rather forget. Though the judge mandated child support and ordered back payments, his heart remained absent from the equation. In the wake of the ruling, I stepped back. I no longer had a legal claim to Lily, and in time, I let that boundary settle into place. But detaching emotionally was another matter entirely. Emily's parents, kind despite everything, send updates from time to time. Photos of Lily on her first day of kindergarten, her tiny face lit up with joy, her pigtails crooked, a proud grin stretching across her cheeks. She looks happy, and while I'm grateful for that, I know that a day will come when she might ask about me, about the man who was once her father, about why he disappeared. The questions swirl in my mind, heavy and unanswered, because I still don't know what I'll say. The divorce was finalized months ago. It was clean on paper, no custody battles, no drawn-out disputes. There was nothing left to divide. But emotionally, letting go has been a slow, jagged process. I still wake up some mornings expecting to hear the patter of little feet on the hardwood floor, or Lily's voice calling for me from her room. Those memories don't vanish with the stroke of a judge's pen. Sarah and I have drifted too. Our shared pain created a bond for a while, but grief has a way of pushing people onto separate paths. She finalized her own divorce not long after mine. James disappeared from town soon after the ruling, a shadow retreating from the damage he'd caused. Sarah is rebuilding, taking night classes, working part-time, and slowly sewing her life back together stitch by stitch. I admire her strength, even from a distance. As for me, I've been learning to exist in the quiet aftermath. I returned to journaling, something I hadn't done since university. Late at night, when the silence settles too deep into my bones, I fill the pages with pieces of Lily, memories I'm terrified of forgetting. Her stubborn way of calling spaghetti passetti, the way she insisted on wearing one blue sock and one yellow no matter how many times we asked her to match them, her giggles during story time, the way she'd call me Papa, with that wide-eyed adoration that made me feel like the center of her tiny universe. Those moments still echo inside me, vivid and real, like shadows burned into the soul. Therapy has become a lifeline. My therapist, Karen, listens patiently as I unravel the tangle of emotions. She told me once that I'm not just mourning Lily or the marriage, but the life I thought I was living, the future I believed in. She's right. Putting a name to the loss doesn't soften the edges, but it helps me understand the depth of the wound. Healing, she says, will come in time. I try to believe her. One evening not long ago, Emily appeared at my door. I almost didn't answer, but something compelled me to open it. She stood there, a shadow of the woman I once knew. Not just tired, but worn thin, like her choices had hollowed her out. She didn't come to argue or beg. She just offered an apology. Quiet. Genuine. She spoke of the deception, the pain she'd caused, and the lasting fallout. Lily still asks about you, she said softly. Sometimes she calls you Papa. She keeps a photo of us from that carnival. The one where we're both wearing those ridiculous hats. I remembered that day, the laughter, the cotton candy, her little hand in mine. I felt my throat tighten, but said nothing. Before she left, Emily handed me an envelope. If you ever want to write to her, she said. No pressure. I don't know if I'll ever use it. But just in case. I haven't opened it. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But it sits in a drawer waiting. Not long after that, I ran into Sarah in the cereal aisle of the grocery store. Life has a sense of irony. At first, it was awkward. Two people who had once bared their souls to each other now fumbling for casual words among boxes of cornflakes. But the tension dissolved, and we found ourselves talking easily again. We grabbed coffee afterward just as friends. It felt like reclaiming a piece of something simple and normal, something untouched by betrayal. Sometimes I think about love. I wonder if there's space in my heart for it again. Right now the answer is no. Too many scars remain. Too many ghosts whisper in the silence. But I haven't locked the door forever. I just need time. Lily keeps growing. The photos show it. Her cheeks a little leaner now, her smile still wide. Her hands covered in finger paint as she poses beside a chaotic swirl of colors only a child could make sense of. She's happy. That's what matters most, and for now that's enough. I don't know if I'll ever be part of her life again. Maybe one day she'll seek me out. Maybe I'll have the words by then. Maybe I won't. But I carry those years with me always. Her first wobbly steps, the way she'd curl up against me when thunder shook the house, the silly bedtime voices that made her laugh. They were real, even if the foundation they stood on was built on lies. They were mine, and no one can take them away. Even if she forgets, I won't.